Let me ask you a question. Who's the real victim in The Boys? Huey? Nah, he could have signed the papers, moved on, found another partner. Plus, he's got Starlight, so victimhood doesn't quite fit him. Butcher? Again, he could have moved on from Becca, had kids, found happiness. Those two characters had choices, different paths to take. But do you know who didn't have a choice? Who had no other paths to explore? Homelander. Homelander claims he was born in a test tube. Whether it's factual or not is unclear. But for the sake of this video, let's assume it's true. As a young child, he found himself confined in a room with the only semblance of parental figures being Dr. Vegelbaum and his female tutors. Deprived of an actual maternal presence, Homelander's lack of a nurturing figure manifested into anger issues, leading to the tragic demise of several tutors due to his struggles with anger and depression. The one time a tutor suggested she could fill the role of a mother for Homelander, a seemingly innocent hug turned fatal as Homelander unintentionally used fatal force and crushed her. And Homelander's only father figure as a child, Dr. Vegelbaum, proved to be more interested in profiting from Homelander and making America's ultimate superhero than providing genuine parental care. Also, in Homelander's early years confined with Vought's laboratory, Homelander became the canvas upon which they painted their vision of the perfect American. Vought shaped his physical appearance by giving him blonde hair and blue eyes, and they even brainwashed him into thinking his favorite sport was baseball, and they made him Christian. All of those were carefully woven elements dictated by Vought. His personality wasn't entrusted to the realm of his own personal choices. So deprived of a mother's love caused a deep desire to be loved by everyone and gave him profound mommy issues. And the absence of a genuine father figure instilled a relentless need to prove himself, birthing profound daddy issues. Furthermore, throughout Homelander's life, everyone was afraid of him. They were even terrified of him when he was a kid. The female tutor proposing herself as a potential mother figure kinda sounded terrified, suggesting that her expression of love was most likely a facade, a survival mechanism to stay safe from him. Tragically, as events unfold, we all know what happened to her. Speaking of people being fake with Homelander, let's talk about how Madeline Stillwell was manipulating Homelander ever since he joined the Seven. Despite her pretense of affection, it's very easy to notice her lack of genuine emotion. This is very obvious when she pretends to be his mother only when it serves her interests. And even Queen Maeve is fake with him. The only reason she dated him and made him think she loved him was because she was scared of him and didn't want him killing her or anyone close to her. And throughout most of his life, Vought scripted most things he said and did in the public eye. Even the actor for Homelander himself, Anthony Starr, said that Homelander is a victim of Vought. Now shifting from Homelander's tough childhood and everyone manipulating him, let's dive into his superpowers. Just having the sheer strength and power he does makes it tough for him to lean towards the good side. If you hand anyone that much power, chances are they'll end up misusing it at some point in their life. Take Superman for instance. He's meant to be the friendliest and most wholesome guy around, but even he takes a dark turn every now and then, whether in the comics, movies, or video games. Pretty much whenever Lois Lane bites the dust, Superman goes rogue and does some pretty terrible things. And it's also worth noting that Superman had a good life, parents who genuinely loved him, and yet he still found himself on the wrong side of things at times. My second example of this is John Walker. Granted, he definitely doesn't have the same strength as Homelander or Superman, but the whole idea that power can corrupt people holds true to him too. Initially, John Walker seemed like a decent guy, but the moment he was handed the Captain America title, things took a turn. But it wasn't until he took the serum that he completely lost it, committing an irreversible act. And to make matters worse, he even went so far as to lie to his best friend's grieving family just to look good in front of them. Now let's go back to Homelander and why he is the real victim. In Homelander's case, it doesn't help that he was pretty much praised his entire life and worshipped like a god. This is the exact reason why he has a god complex, and even compares himself to God. And Homelander also isn't that bad. Now don't worry, I'm not going to stand here and talk about how Homelander is actually the good guy. He has done some awful things, like truly terrible things. But he does do some good in the show. Firstly, in Season 1 of The Boys, we see countless times that Homelander despises Madeline Stillwell's son, and is possibly even a little jealous of him. But even though Homelander hates her son, in the end of Season 1, he saves the baby from being blown up by Butcher. I mean, like, yeah, he did leave him without a mom, but like, at least he didn't let him die. Now I get that some people believe Homelander didn't truly save Madeline's son. They argue that he teleported away just before the explosion, because in Season 3 we see him show off his teleportation powers. But let's be real, that'd be a pretty convenient time for his powers to kick in. He's also just a baby, so he probably didn't even know what was happening in the room. Homelander is also nice enough not to want Ryan to have the life he did, no matter what. In Seasons 2 and 3, he's putting in the effort to ensure Ryan doesn't go through the same tough childhood he had. I mean, sure, there are times where he fumbles, like when he made this comment about Ryan.
You saved the little shit that fucking murdered your wife.
Although, to be fair, Ryan did just pretty much kill one of the only few people who genuinely cared for Homelander. So in that moment, you can kind of see where Homelander's coming from. And Homelander genuinely cares about Ryan and what he wants. In the season 3 finale, when Soldier Boy knocks out Ryan, Homelander turns his back to make sure his son is okay, making himself completely vulnerable to the 3 people who want him dead. Homelander turning his back to Maeve, Butcher, and Soldier Boy proves that he actually cares about Ryan, so much that he wants to make sure he's okay even though he's about to die. And also in the season 3 finale, Homelander just had one of the worst days of his life, and could have easily killed Butcher and have everything be all over, but Ryan didn't want him to, so he didn't, and chose to let Butcher and his friends live. Also, throughout the series, Homelander is enduring a consistent barrage of disrespect from Stan Edgar and essentially all of his father figures. First from his fake dad.
I'm the world's greatest superhero.
You're my greatest failure.
And then his real dad.
You. I know. You're a fucking disappointment.
However, the deepest wound for Homelander was discovering that his best friend, one of the few he truly trusted, Black Noir, concealed the truth about his real dad. Homelander had placed full trust in Black Noir, and that betrayal shattered him, ultimately leading to Homelander taking Black Noir's life. Homelander also isn't exactly the main villain in the show. Well, kind of, but he's more of a victim of Vought, just like everyone else. Even if you take him out, Vought still stands strong. Killing Homelander might make things simpler for the boys, but it won't put an end to all the other superheroes doing terrible things. Now let's be clear, I'm not advocating for forgiving Homelander for the horrendous things he's committed. However, if you subject anyone to the trials Homelander has endured, more often than not, they'll end up just like Homelander. And I'd actually argue that Butcher is worse than Homelander. Yeah, Homelander has killed more people, but he only wants to be loved and learns from his mistakes. Butcher doesn't and will kill anyone and anything if it means he'll get to take out Homelander. If this scene was reversed, there is no way in hell Butcher listens to Ryan and walks away. I truly believe that Homelander will find some form of redemption by the series' conclusion, perhaps through saving the boys from danger or even helping them defeat Vought during the final season. But even though there's a chance of him somewhat redeeming himself, he's still 100% going to die from either Ryan or Butcher. It's honestly sad to think about. Homelander barely had any friends, and his one true friend kept a massive secret from him. He was manipulated his entire life, had no mom, had no dad, and had a terrible childhood. He is genuinely the only character in The Boys that didn't have a choice, and yet he is called the villain of the show, even though deep down he only wants to be loved. And that is why Homelander is the real victim in The Boys. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you made it this far, thank you so much, and please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I'm going to try to make a video every week. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
I can see your girdle, you disgusting fat fuck. Get off the fucking stage.